Hello and welcome, dreamers and believers, family and friends. My name is Florence and this is Fireside with Florence, the show where we peel back the public persona and explore the life journeys of people of African heritage. Join me as I welcome my very first guest on this show, Teurai Chanakira. Teurai Chanakira is an international personal trainer and founder of Fitness to a Tee. She's an author and a model, amongst many other things. She's published 5 exercise and nutrition-related books, including titles such as Healthier Living Guide for the Everyday Person, Eat Your Way to a Healthier Body, and How Stretching Changed My Life. And she also co-authored a book with Wizzy Mangoma, which is non-fitness related, and these can be found on Amazon. She's been a print fashion model since 2009, with some of her achievements being in the top 100 of Naomi Campbell's global model search out of over 10,000 entries. And she's also had her portrait taken and hung in the Canberra National Gallery, Australia. After her mother, Elizabeth Chanakira, passed away from cancer in 2010, she founded the Elizabeth Chanakira Cancer Trust, which supports underprivileged cancer patients and their families in Zimbabwe with pain management, school fees, and health food hampers. So welcome to our very first Fireside Chat, and I'm so excited to have with us Teurai Chanakira. Teurai I count as a friend I've known for quite a long time, and she has an incredible journey. So Teurai, welcome. Thank you so much for being the first.
Oh, you're welcome. It's good to be here.
So let's start this off. For those who don't know Teurai, who is Teurai behind the persona?
Behind the official work persona, I would say I'm someone who's very driven, very ambitious, of course, for someone who left law and then ventured into fitness in Australia. But, just my personality in general, I'm someone who's very passionate about everything that I do. I tend to find the positives in everything, regardless of the situations that are going on around me. And I love to laugh as well. Laughter is medicine, as they say.
Very true. And so tell us a little bit about that journey. How did you go from law, very different to what you're doing now in fitness?
So I studied law in the UK. So I did a Bachelor of Laws and then I did a Master of Laws, and I actually practiced in the UK as a solicitor in Wolverhampton for about 2 years. So at that time I was doing property law and criminal law. And to be honest, as I was studying law and then when I started working in law, I just felt really bored. But as I was doing it, I just thought, this is how life is. You finish your degree, you go to work, and that's it. You get married, have kids, and that's the rest of your life.
The story.
But that's the story, right? The fairy tale, so to speak. But I found it such a drag. And I got to that point where I thought, you know what? There has to be something else. This can't be life. And for fitness, I'd always been into fitness. As a young girl, I'd played sports, and then I'd always been going to the gym as well. And I had thought of being a personal trainer before, but I just thought, I don't know if I can do it. Mm-hmm. So fast forward a couple of years, I moved to Australia in 2008, and I was studying law. So what I did was I transferred my UK law degree to an Australian law degree. Okay. And after finishing my Australian law degree, I thought, I don't know if I want to do law. I was really so doubtful.
Now that must have been so hard after all that work.
It was hard after all that work. And I think the biggest thing was letting down my parents because they didn't understand why I had made that decision.
Yeah. And talk us through that, because that conversation, right, of saying, I'm living the dream, I'm a lawyer. You know how it is, African parents, they must have been so proud. And then you're like, yeah, sorry, I'm walking away.
Yeah, I mean, they were so disappointed. My dad didn't talk to me for a couple of months. Like he just wouldn't talk
Wow.
to me on the phone. But with time, with a lot of years and a lot of time where they saw me actually continuing with my fitness career and then seeing how happy I was compared to how I was when I was studying and practicing law. My dad eventually said, you know what, you look so happy and you're managing to do all the things that someone would do, pay bills, etc., on this income. So, it's good that you're so much happier now.
Wow. And was that a concern for you transitioning? Obviously, the legal profession is quite lucrative financially. Was that a concern for you when you made that decision about what that would mean for your life and your lifestyle?
It definitely was. It was a huge concern. And I think the number one reason why I didn't do my fitness earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided to go into fitness, what I did was I did my research first before I left law and just kind of scoped the area and the fitness industry in Australia to see, well, who are the successful people? How are they being successful? What are they doing? And at the time, as an African in Australia, that was 2012 that I was doing this research. There weren't any other Black successful female trainers that I knew of, or their story just wasn't out there. Maybe they were there, but I just didn't see it. So I would see people like Michelle Bridges, Kyla Itsini's. So I would follow them and see what they're doing. And I found that they not only had started personal training as in one-on-one and group training, but they had also built businesses where they were writing books, they were on TV, they had nutrition, they had the recipe books and so forth. So I thought, I don't have to just be a personal trainer only doing training. I can actually expand this and make it a sort of like a fitness house, so to speak.
Yeah. And so I think for me, that's really fascinating about the amount of research you did about going into fitness. If I take you back to when you went into law, did you do as much research? Like what drove that decision? And if you look at the two now, what decision would you have made differently?
That's a very good question. When I went into law, I didn't do as much research because I think for that profession and because of cultural expectations and societal expectations, it was like if you're a lawyer, a doctor, or a dentist, you're going to be successful. And, it was almost like something that was implied that I didn't have to do any research. I didn't have to see how I was going to be successful. Does it suit me at all? I just went with that expectation.
Okay, so now that you're on the journey, tell us
Mm.
about how has it gone? Where are you up to now? What does that look like?
So the journey has been quite a long journey so far because I started my business 7 years ago. So 7 years is quite a long time.
Mm.
But from the start, I can see how I've gradually started to add more things to my business. So I started off in the gym environment, learning how to build a business within the gym. And one of the great things that I loved about the personal training course that I did was that they had a big focus on not just being a personal trainer, as in, train as many people as you can in a day, but they were always talking to us about sustainability and longevity and how we could do it and make it suit our personalities. So I started off in the gym. And then when I was in the gym, I started writing books, started the writing process of writing fitness related books and slowly getting those out, researching how I could publish them. And then from the gym, I decided to look at online personal training. So at the time that I started online personal training, that was 2015. In Australia, within the fitness industry here, not a lot of people were doing that. So even when I was telling my colleagues, they were saying, "You're crazy. Why do you need to go online? Like, who's going to be your client online?"
And so what drove
And
it? Because, like it sounds like a lot of trailblazing here. What drove that specific thing around going online?
I think it was following personal trainers who were in America, so mainly a lady called Jeanette Jenkins, and
Mm-hmm.
seeing how they were able to reach more people with their work. by going online, as opposed to training just people within their area. So for myself, having come from Zimbabwe, I saw that, there was a need for people within Zimbabwe, also Africa, just to have more awareness around fitness and around health, and to sort of reduce the stigma as well that was associated with fitness. So for example, in Zimbabwe, a lot of people would think, a lady going to the gym, what is she going to do? Just lift weights. She's going there just to, bulk up. But that's a myth. That's not true. There's so many benefits to us doing weights. So I thought, wow, this would be a good way for me to spread the message, but just from within Australia, I don't have to travel to spread my message.
Wow. And that set you up because you also did a bit of a stint on a cruise ship. So tell us about how that set you up in terms of the online business, and also now in COVID, and that journey.
So with the cruise ship, that was an unplanned journey. I never thought that I would end up training on a cruise ship. It just sort of popped up by chance. And I thought, wow, this would be a great way to do my work, but also travel around the world. I was dealing with something which was very tough in terms of my personal circumstances. And I saw that opportunity as a way to get a bit of fresh air, so to speak, but also be able to do work. So that was really good. I still continued with my online business, but I only had a few select clients because I didn't have enough time to do the online training and then also work on the cruise ship. Then coming into COVID, when COVID started, it was a massive shock, obviously, for everyone. But I saw that opportunity again and thought, okay, everyone is now at home. This is a good time for me to keep spreading the message as well. And so what I did with my business is I went away from marketing gym workouts, so to speak, and I started showing people how to do workouts at home. So if you go onto my Instagram or Facebook, for example, you'll see that a lot of the videos that are there are me showing people how to get strong at home using bags, suitcases, cardboard boxes, their laundry baskets, things that they can do at home, so that it doesn't leave anyone out, or people don't think, oh, because the gyms are closed, they can't get healthier.
Yeah. And one of the things that I find quite fascinating about your world is how not only are you looking at the fitness side, but you're also incorporating the nutrition. And I know that you used that as well personally when you were going through your competitive stage. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Nutrition is the biggest factor when anyone's getting healthier, or, even when we're fighting diseases. What you eat first is important. That's 80% of the equation, then 20%. So for myself, after I finished my personal training course, in the personal training course itself, they don't focus a lot on nutrition. So if you want to do nutrition, that's something that you then have to explore afterwards. So I decided to do that, and then I studied for nutrition. So I've got a certificate in nutrition. But when it came to competing, bodybuilding, I started bodybuilding in, I think it was 2014. That's when I really got to understand how important it is. And also I learned how nutrition works for me, because everyone is different in terms of how they respond to nutrition. For someone who's standing next to you, the way they respond to eating certain types of food is going to be completely different to you. So I learned that on myself first, and then through my studies, I was able to then apply that to my clients. And I think one of the great things about that is that with the clients that I train, a lot of them are of very different cultural backgrounds, and they still like eating their traditional foods. So I'm able to incorporate their traditional foods into their meal plans, and they're still able to get good results as well.
Wow. And that's the thing, and talking about culture and obviously being away from our original homeland, if you like. How much have you worked into going back into Zimbabwe and that whole journey around nutrition, good health, and what that looks like?
In terms of going back into Zimbabwe, I think I use a lot of my online platform to promote it. So I'll talk about, things like sadza, which is one of our traditional dishes, and I talk about portions or what types of sadza are good for us to have, and if we're also following a fitness journey. But one of the great things that I've been really grateful for is that I've been able to go back and do classes in Zimbabwe as well, where I incorporate teaching about nutrition. So when I've done the classes in Zimbabwe, they've been for charity. So for Elizabeth Chanakira Cancer Trust, which is a charity that I founded in Zimbabwe in 2011 after my mom passed away from cancer in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. And do you want to talk a little bit more about the trust? Because there's some really exciting work that you've been doing there on the ground.
Yeah, it's been exciting, and I've got a really good team behind me that help with the work on the ground. But with Elizabeth Chanakira Cancer Trust, my mom Elizabeth went through cancer over 7 years, so she would go into remission and then she'd be re-diagnosed again with breast cancer. But she finally lost her battle in 2010. So in 2011, I decided to set up the trust. And the reason why is because cancer treatment in Zimbabwe back then was really expensive, and it still is now. And it wasn't accessible to a wide range of the population. So I thought, why don't I start something where I'm helping cancer patients, marginalized cancer patients who are struggling to get medications, struggling to get healthier food options, and also struggling to take their kids to school. So that's what the trust does. And since that time, we've helped several families. And I think one of the great things about it is seeing kids back in school who thought, well, they can't go to school anymore. That's been a really good an achievement for the trust.
Yeah. And I remember going with you to actually go and visit one of the families, and it's just profound how the impact generationally across that family. I think it was like 3 different generations, and the work that was happening there. So it was fantastic work that you're doing on the ground there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We hope with time it will grow. I think one of the things that we love is that because our charity is, a grassroots one, we're able to go right into the heart of the families, go into their homes and really, really form a relationship with them, which is really special.
Yeah, true. And so how much has that journey with your mother shaped your decisions around the fitness piece and what that looks like for you?
It's shaped a lot of that journey. I think after mom passed away, it motivated me even more to continue with the fitness journey because, with cancer, it's very much linked to how we're living nowadays as well. I won't say for all cancers, but I'll say for some cancers, which is what, the UN says as well. So it really motivated me to keep going because not only am I then spreading the message to help reduce the risk or, help someone live a healthier lifestyle in terms of cancer, but also for a lot of other conditions that we face like diabetes, which is very, it's very, the numbers are very high, especially amongst the African population.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge of our times for sure. But having said all of that, and you've got a lot that's crammed up in your life, you've done so much. What would you say are your highlights? What are the highlights in this journey?
Wow, I think there's a few highlights, but the biggest ones I think watching my clients transform, no matter where they are in the world, from the times that I've worked within the gym environment and then now to being online, just seeing the impact that they have. So for example, a client I'll never forget is one who she came to me because she really wanted to have a baby. She wasn't able to because the doctor kept saying you need to lose the weight. So she trained with me for a few months, and then after some time, she was able to conceive, and she now has a daughter I think her daughter's now about 3 years old. But we've kept a really good friendship because of that. And that's, something life transforming. So I
That's
think just
beautiful.
watching that, it's not only impacting the women that I work with and some men, but it's impacting their families, their kids, their partners, their friends as well.
And it sounds like you've done a lot of research along the way. Are there any books, tips, guidelines that you would point to people who want to find out more in terms of that fitness journey, or just more broadly about decisions in life that you found helpful?
Oh, I've read so many books, but one that I really, really love is Napoleon Hill's Road to Success. I just think it's an age-old book, and it's easy to read. The chapters are short, and there's so many nuggets of wisdom in there. So I absolutely love that book. But one of the things that I would say is my biggest tip is look at the people in your field that inspire you, whether it's fitness or whatever field you're going into, and look at what they do. If they've got books, read their books, read about their routine. For myself, learning about the people that I look up to, learning about their routine, how they set their morning up, how they think, that's really helped me and inspired me.
And I'm going to throw a curveball here. Of the books
Yeah.
that you've written, if a person wanted to start with one, which would be the one that you'd recommend as their first one?
I think the first one would be a healthier living guide, and that's got a basic exercise and nutrition guide. So the thing I love about that is that if you pick it up, it gives you a really good basic on how to strengthen your core. What is the core? It gives you an exercise routine that you can do at home. So for beginners and intermediate, and then really basic eating guidelines to just start your nutrition journey.
Okay, and so if people want to find you, I know you're across the social media networks, where can they find you?
So they can find me on Instagram, so at Teurai1, or they can look up Fitness to a T. Then on Facebook, it's Fitness to a T. And then for my website, my current website is at fitnesstoat.com.au, but within a few weeks, that's changing. So I think for now, just for the purposes of this video, definitely look me up on Instagram and Facebook. And then from there, you can see when the new website is launching.
And we'll definitely put that new website into the notes as well at the bottom of this video.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so to wind this all up, if you had words of wisdom that you'd put out there, what would it be?
One piece of advice I would give to the younger generation is that don't put yourself in a box. So if you're someone in the younger generation wanting to become a fitness trainer, remember that you don't just, in inverted commas, have to be a personal trainer only in terms of only doing the one-on-one training or the group training. You can plant a tree like what I've done with Fitness to a T. So when I say plant a tree, what I mean is establishing the roots of your business with the actual physical training, the one-on-one and the group training, and then you can see that tree growing. So you can watch it grow into things like having books, having a podcast, going on TV, having clothing. For example, Fitness Leaf, which is the clothing part of my business, is going to launch soon. So there's so many things that you can do. Think outside of the box and don't be afraid to bring in all the authentic and creative things that you enjoy.
Wow, thank you very much for that. It's wonderful having you, Teo. And as this evolves, I'm hoping I'll get you back on. But for now, thank you so much for being the first. And look forward to seeing where you go in the future.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode. And don't forget to hit subscribe and like us so you don't miss out on the next ones. Until the next time, thank you for joining Fireside.